Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we're looking at Kostiantynivka, and what's happening inside the city right now is arguably the most significant development on the entire Ukrainian front line this week. Russia is advancing from three directions simultaneously. Supply routes are being cut, specific elite units have been committed to this battle, and the defenders are being squeezed into smaller and smaller pockets. Let's go through it. Start with the big picture. Three simultaneous axes of Russian advances, south, east, and the west, all covering on the city center. This is not a coincidence, this is a coordinated assault designed to stretch Ukrainian defenders across multiple fronts at the same time, making reinforcement and redeployment nearly impossible. South first, Russian forces this week captured the Tabachno factory and the industrial landfill here. They also took most of the Suriyakmaps district. Industrial facilities first. That's the pattern. Secure the factories, the warehouses, the hard structures, use them as fortified positions before pushing into residential areas. East. This is where the most alarming advance happened this week. Russian forces crossed the Hora district, advancing along Bamustka Street all the way to the school on Makhilya-Savuchka Street. Then they crossed the Horuska forest here and entered Tritlna Street. The Tritlna Street leads directly to the central market, the center of the city. Think about what that means geographically. Russia is not on the outskirts anymore. They are on the street that goes to the middle of Kostiantynivka. West. Heavy shelling of high-rise buildings have allowed Russian troops to advance in these following districts. Ukrainian forces here have pulled back to the Ukrainian district. They have established their base in a former bus station. That's the level of urban compression happening on this front. Defenders holding a bus station. Now let's talk about who Russia has actually committed to this battle, because the units matter. Russia has deployed three major formations specifically to Kostiantynivka: the 70th Motorized Rifle Division, the 4th Motorized Rifle Brigade, and the 72 Motorized Rifle Brigade. These are not second-line garrison troops, these are frontline assault formations that have been grinding through eastern Ukraine for years. The 72 Motorized Rifle Brigade in particular has been one of Russia's most consistently active units in Donetsk offensive. And the commitment goes deeper than that. New Russia drone crews previously active in the battles in Russia's Kursk Oblast have been specifically redeployed to Kostiantynivka. Russia pulled experienced drones operator from one front and sent them here. That tells you how seriously Moscow is prioritizing this battle. The Institute for the Study of War assessed as far back as early 2025 that Russian military command has identified Kostiantynivka as its priority effort, and that significant forces have been redeployed specifically to this front as a result. This isn't an opportunistic advance, it is a deliberate, resourced, long-planned operation. Russia has been building toward this moment for over a year. Now zoom north, because this is part of the map that explains everything else. Russian forces have been intensively shelling Ukrainian rear areas and supply routes running through the northern part of the city. And it's working. When your supply routes are under constant fires, you can't rotate troops in and out cleanly. You can't bring in ammunition, food, or medical supplies reliably. The defenders already inside the city get exhausted, depleted, and isolated, section by section. Russian drones are now operating deep enough to reach Kostiantynivka itself, covering every approach route. Every vehicle moving toward the city is a potential target. The combination, multi-axis ground assault plus drone interjection of supply routes is exactly the formula Russia used to eventually take Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Chasiv. Same playbook, different city. Now the other side of this map. What Ukraine is actually doing to stop it. Ukraine's 24th Mechanized Brigade, 28th Mechanized Brigade, 93rd Mechanized Brigade, and 129th Mechanized Brigade are all committed to the defense of Kostiantynivka. 4 mechanized brigades holding one city, that's a significant commitment of Ukrainian force. And Ukraine is not just defending passively. As recently as April 13th, geolocated footage showed the Ukrainian force advancing in eastern Kostiantynivka after Russian troops made another attempt to infiltrate the area. Ukrainian troops took positions northeast of Navika, southwest of Kostiantynivka in an area Russian forces had previously claimed to control. So the picture is not purely one-sided. Ukraine is counterattacking where it can, reclaiming positions that Russia briefly took, making every Russian meter as costly as possible. But here's the problem. Commander Syrsky confirmed Ukraine has shifted to an astronomic strategy, trying to do more with less, relying on drone warfare and targeted counterattacks rather than large-scale defensive lines. That strategy works in open terrain. Inside a city being assaulted from three directions with supply lines under fire, it becomes much harder to execute. Ukraine is fighting back, but Russia has more troops, more drones committed here, and a year of preparation behind this assault. Now zoom out, because the battle inside the city only makes sense when you understand what losing it would mean. This chain of cities, Slovinsak, Kramatorsk, Druzhvika, and Kostiantynivka, these form the backbone of Ukrainian resistance in Donetsk Oblast. The fortress belt, Kostiantynivka, is the southernmost anchor of that belt. It is the entry point into the entire fortress system from the south. If Russia takes it, the consequences are immediate and severe on three levels. First, Druzhvika is next. Druzhvika sits directly northwest of Kostiantynivka. Zelensky himself named it as the next Russian objective after Kostiantynivka. With Kostiantynivka gone, Russian forces have a direct approach corridor into Druzhvika with no major natural obstacle in between. Second, Kramatorsk, because exposed from the south, Kramatorsk is the administrative center of Ukrainian-controlled Donetsk, the most important city. Ukraine still holds in the Oblast. It has been protected partly by the fortress belt. Cities to its south and east, Luz, Kostiantynivka, and Druzhkvia, and Kramatorsk's southern flank opens up. Third, the psychological impact. Every city that falls in the fortress belt tells Ukrainian defenders in the next city that the same thing is coming for them. Bakhmut fell, Avdiivka fell, Chasiv fell. If Kostiantynivka falls, Druzhkva defenders know they are next. That's psychological weight as a weapon Russia uses deliberately. Russia's state objective, confirmed by the Kremlin and Zelensky, is to capture Kostiantynivka, Druzhkva, and Pokros. These are not separated battles, they are three steps in a single operational plan. Kostiantynivka is step 1, and right now, Russia is executing step 1 from three directions simultaneously. So this is Kostiantynivka today. 3 simultaneous axes of advance, 3 Russian brigades plus detected drone crew committed to one city, supply routes under constant fires, defender compressed into his shrinking pockets, holding a bus station in the west, a school corridor in the east, a factory district in the south, and beyond the city, Druzhkva waiting. Kramatorsk exposed the entire southern flank of Ukraine's fourth belt at stake. The entire southern flank of Ukraine's fourth belt at stake. This is the battle to watch in 2026. We'll keep mapping it as it develops. Thank you very much for watching. See you in next video. Goodbye.